Bad movie buff.
Life's a Jungle looks like what would happen if a mockbuster studio physically ate a movie and then crapped it out on screen. The animation is both hideous and lazy. I've seen better animation from North Korea. Dingo Pictures at least steals their animation from good animation. The plot is basically a pampered dog gets lost in Africa and applies modern tech to their way of life. I don't really know and I don't really care. Something about this movie physically made me feel sick. I almost couldn't finish it. I walked out several times to use the bathroom, and let me tell you, taking a massive dump is twice as enjoyable as watching this piece of garbage. Did I mention it's almost 2 hours long? If you're curious what this movie is like, go to a gas station bathroom. You'll get the gist.
Bad movie buff.
Today we're doing disaster movie. At the bottom of I Hate Everything's search for the worst list. I was always doubtful whether or not this movie would hold up compared to some of the worst things that I have ever seen. But in the first 15 minutes of this movie, I have laid witness to some of the worst pieces of crap I have ever seen. The plot of the movie is a group of 20-somethings are trying to survive the apocalypse, all the while encountering a parody of a movie from 2008 or the time around it every 2 minutes. The jokes range from super gross, about to make you puke jokes, or some of the most morally apprehensible jokes you have probably ever heard. I've been asked by friends and family that I need to give more description to what actually happens in these films instead of giving my personal thoughts.
Bad movie buff.
Part 2. This movie is not a movie. It is a bunch of lazy parodies, vaguely in the shape of a plot. I'm pretty sure the writers haven't even seen half these movies, because the way these characters are being parodied, like Beowulf being naked and Kung Fu Panda just beating someone up. This movie is a middle finger to the art of film itself. Any time that you think, oh, they're definitely not gonna go there, they do it. Nothing is off the table with this. Race jokes, shit jokes, abortion jokes, selling babies jokes, rabid animals jokes, gay jokes, straight jokes, gore jokes, more gore jokes. And guess how this crap ends? With a big musical number with all the characters from the whole movie.
Bad movie buff.
The Adventures of a Chayla, the worst movie I've ever seen in my life. So bad, I'm reviewing it twice. Everything about this movie is stock. The music, the sounds, the animation, the models, all of it is stock off of a website. Even Vivio Brinquero make their own models and animations. Hell, it's so lazy it reuses the same model for all 3 children in this movie. Very clear that all of the voice actors were commissioned from Fiverr, given that they give such a monotone performance. Not to mention lines like,
"Let us get our permission."
the plot is literally just looking for the tale teller, looking for a flower for the tale teller, getting it to the tale teller who then tells a 20-minute long story with no visuals, interspliced with random footage of animated animals that are just stock models with stock sound effects of animals. It's like being waterboarded, just like Aladdin.
Bad movie buff.
Ring the bells! I have finally found the worst movie ever created. Pets! What would happen if Snorlax and Jabba the Hutt made a movie with the intent to kill? At least Adventures of a Chayla took the time to animate full body movement. At least Dingo Pictures Aladdin had the proper foresight to make a full-length plot with passive engagement. This movie, there is no plot. It's just some models of characters sitting on a couch talking about nonsense, interspliced with them watching TV, which is literally just them cutting to stock footage or footage that the director made of his own dogs. That's what this movie is. Oh, this is my life now! What the heck is that? No. 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 You can't make me. You can't make me. Don't do it. I won't do it. Get away from me. Foul demon. Get away. What? What are you? What? No. No, wait. What are you doing? Stop. Stop. No.
Bad movie buff.
Today, I am reviewing, against my will, Trollland. I say against my will because there is a reason why this review is coming out days after my last review, when I usually pump these out in bulk whenever I can. You see this sweat? You see how oily my hair is? That's the stress of this movie. This movie is like Food Fight's mentally impaired brother. Characters jolt and shake around, barely expressing or moving their lips, barely touching the ground or any objects around them, like poorly puppeted marionettes just going, yes, this is a good day, this is a good day. The models are shockingly unnerving. I wouldn't be surprised if they were made intentionally horrifying. The titular trolls look like Shrek mated with a possessed troll doll from the 90s. They look like rejected Cabbage Patch Kids. Scratch that. They look like rejected Garbage Pail Kids. And those are supposed to look ugly and disgusting. These, on the other hand, were made with the intention of swindling grandmothers. The movie stars, let's look at my notes. Dick Van Dyke? Jerry O'Connell from Kangaroo Jack? It's following me. Debbie Derryberry, the voice of Jimmy Neutron? Beast Boy from Teen Titans? How the hell did they get these people? Not only that, they also have T-Boz, Ya Rule, Chris Daughtry. The plot is so basic. I had it written down in my first draft of this review, but it was so boring, almost as boring as watching the movie itself, to recite what happens in this movie, that I just cut it out entirely, because nothing I could say could make this movie interesting. This movie was torture. Straight up torture. And just as I promised, the video that's going to come out with this one is going to be the Kangaroo Jack review. I just had to get this one out of the way because it's one of the big bad movies out there and I hadn't covered it yet. So yeah, Kangaroo Jack up next, then probably Anacondas, the sequel to Anaconda. I got quite a bit of work ahead of me.
Bad movie buff.
This movie is a lie! The marketing, the cover, the description on the back would have you believe this is a movie about a quippy kangaroo running through the outback while being chased by two losers who owe money to the mob. Well, guess what? That's only 20% true. The kangaroo only talks halfway into the film and only in one scene. Fun fact, this copy of Kangaroo Jack was unopened when I got it, despite it being from Goodwill, which means someone bought this 20 years ago, brought it home, heard how bad it was from word of mouth, and then refused to watch it for 20 years until it ended up in a Goodwill in my hands. Because when I went to go see if the disc was in good condition, I heard a snap to realize it was still sealed. Another thing, on the cover here, right under this misquote of an action comedy for the entire family, which is absolutely not true, there's an award of excellence on this. Who the heck gave this an award of excellence? This movie was boring. Really boring. The plot is basically Hayden from Trollland, which I've already covered, and the hacker from Transformers 2007 owe money to a mob boss played by Christopher Walken, unknowing that the money is actually their hit money to get them executed, and they end up putting it on a dead kangaroo that they hit on the road. But surprise, surprise, it's not dead and it runs off with that money. That plot setup should be funny. This should be a funny movie. Or at least interesting, but it's not. The jokes fall flat. The characters are paper thin. It feels like it's trying to be a mafia comedy with the last minute addition of some quirky animal mascot, which it is. The original draft for this movie, and you can look this up, was a mafia comedy geared more towards adults, which explains why this movie has a crap ton of crap jokes and sex jokes. This movie was considered too unfunny to stand on its own as a mafia comedy. So the producers, inspired by Disney's Snow Dogs and their marketing campaign, decided to insert an animal character, Kangaroo Jack. And it feels just as disjointed as you can imagine. It lured me in with promises of a passable film that I could at least show to my little brothers and them get some entertainment out of it. And then it turned to shit. Like a yellow snow cone you get on a hot summer's day that you think is going to be a refreshing lemony treat. And then you take a bite and it's piss. You just ate piss.
Bad Movie Buff.
Today I'm going to be reviewing Ballistic X vs. Sever, the most lowest rated movie on Rotten Tomatoes. This is one of the most tropey and cliche movies I have ever seen. The plot is basically Sever, played by Lucy Liu, is an assassin trained only to kill, and she kidnaps a billionaire's son along with a drone that can give you a heart attack and says, if I don't get my demands by however many hours, the kid dies. So the CIA brings in X, played by Antonio Banderas, who is an ex-CIA agent. Skipping ahead, the plot twist is essentially the CEO billionaire that created the heart attack drone is actually evil, and the assassin was actually trying to take him down. And also X, who quit the CIA because his wife died, learns that his wife is actually alive. So that's 3 tropes in one. This movie runs off the idea that your suspension of disbelief is unlimited. Let me give you an example from my notes. The villain takes out a whole SWAT team unarmed. The main character tries to fist fight her afterwards. The villain spares him and walks away, and despite being on a time crunch, gets antagonized into fighting him again when he says, "What's your hurry?" And the twist of the movie, the major twist of the movie, is that the kidnapped kid isn't actually the CEO's son. It's X's son, because the CEO is the one that killed X's wife when really he kidnapped her and forced her to marry him while she was unknowingly pregnant with X's kid. And it doesn't work because the kid looks like, well, I'll let Cat Williams say it for me.
Whose goddamn white baby is that?
This is your baby, okay? He's just light-skinned.
This baby is rice-skinned, but not light-skinned. That is a white child. That is Caucasian from the mountains of Caucasus. That is a Slavic baby, a Viking from Iceland.
This movie did so bad, it has 118 reviews and sits at 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. The lowest rated movie by volume of reviews of any movie on Rotten Tomatoes. It did so bad that the tie-in game that came out 10 months before the premiere did better than the movie. The director himself even gave it a bad review and said that he purposefully came in late and was hyperventilating until the end.